Okay, so here we go. Thought I would go ahead and try to do this in bits and pieces. I put this worksheet together almost 5 years ago. I was going through some rough times in my life. Knew some friends, family members that were going through some rough times in their life. And between counseling and articles, self-help books that I read, I kind of saw this huge aspect that was missing in all of it. So I put together this worksheet in hopes that I could help some people get through some things, help myself get through some things, and thought that, hey, why not? Give it a try. I tried to get this into some different counselors, probation officers, schools. Talked to quite a few people 5 years ago, including churches, and it just nobody would even give it a chance or a read through because I didn't have a college degree or PhD behind my name. So the one thing that I did have over everybody that I've talked to is experience, and I thought that being a fixer my entire life, most important thing for me to talk to is people with experience. You know, that's how you learn things. That's how you overcome situations, is by learning. And it just didn't happen. So I put this worksheet together almost 5 years ago now, and kind of let it just go to the wayside. You know, it helped a couple of people that I gave it to. Other people just flat out said, you know, you don't know anything. And so I decided to just kind of go my own way. But with the state that things have been going in our world lately, I kind of thought maybe it'd be a good idea to go ahead and try to bring this back into the fray. It's very simple. It's a very simple worksheet to do. You could do the whole worksheet in a couple of hours. Even less than that once you've done it a couple of times. It's a worksheet that's been designed to do every couple months, or anytime you encounter a problem that you're having with your life. I tried to write this up in the simplest terms that I could, to really help people understand, you know, not only who they are and why they do things, but how to learn from that experience and do things differently down the road. So I guess, you know, we'll just try to break this down. I'll try to do these in like 10-15 minute segments because I live out in the country, have horrible internet, and it's really hard for me to upload stuff out where I live. So please bear with me. If you want an actual copy of the worksheet and the articles that I put together that go along hand in hand with this, I got to figure out how to do that. I mean, I can probably just leave a link to my email address. You guys can email me, and then I can send you out a copy of this. But let's start off, okay? This is my acceptance worksheet. Start off with the definition of acceptance. It's a noun. I think I pulled this off of Wikipedia, or, you know, one of the dictionary websites offline. But number one, acceptance. The act of taking or receiving something offered. Number two, favorable reception, approval, and favor. Number 3, the act of assenting or believing, acceptance of a theory, as an example. Number 4, the fact or state of being accepted or acceptable. So let's talk about those real quick. Number 1, the act of taking or receiving something offered. So to accept something. In an act of taking or receiving something offered. How can you accept a gift? How can you accept someone's belief or opinion? Taking or receiving something offered. You can accept a cupcake or a birthday card. That's kind of what point number 1 is explaining. Point number 2, favorable reception, approval, and favor. Okay, so again, you're going to accept somebody's beliefs. You're going to accept somebody's excuses. You're going to accept someone favorably, like including someone into your family because they're dating someone you know, or you're going to accept a friend of a friend into your social circle. You can accept a favor from somebody. Hey, help me out with this and I'll cook you dinner. That's accepting like a favor back from someone. Number 3, the act of assenting or believing. Example, acceptance of a theory. So this goes back to a lot of different things. I mean, you can accept what people say, if you're a religious person and you go to church. You can believe and you accept to believe what a pastor or minister will tell you. We choose to believe what our politicians tell us. We choose to believe what our friends and family tell us. And by believing in all of those things, we're accepting a lot of different things, both positive and negative. We accept excuses. We accept apologies. We accept gifts. We accept affection. Number 4, the fact or state of being accepted or acceptable. I think this is probably the biggest issue that we have in the world today, next to number 3. But being accepted is so important in this digital age with online social media. People today feel like they have to be accepted by everybody. If you're different in any way, if you're disabled or transgendered or gay or bisexual or a different religion than somebody, it's been forced down our throat for the last 20, 30 years that you can't just be who you are. You have to be accepted by this certain group of people or that certain group of people. And I think number 4 in the definition of acceptance is probably the biggest one that we need to work on today in our society. So, getting through the definition of it, let's go ahead and start with the very first couple paragraphs here. As you can see from the definition of acceptance, we can use acceptance in many different ways. For example, we can accept a gift from someone, we can accept help, we can accept someone into our home or social circle. We can also be accepting of thoughts and ideas or beliefs. Acceptance can be both positive and negative. In this chapter, we will explain both the good and bad sides of acceptance and work on how to use acceptance as a starting point to make positive changes in your life. Before we can start using acceptance as a way to improve our lives and relationships, we need to first take a look at some of the ways we use or misuse acceptance. Please imagine yourself in the following scenarios and then complete the questions that follow. Now, here's where people I've worked with in the past have a hard time dealing with this. I tried to make this really simple, straight up and to the point, but each one of the questions that are going to come through this whole worksheet are basically 6 questions, roughly. It's describe a time in your life that you handled a scenario like what was described. Okay? It doesn't have to be this exact scenario. The questions that I put together are a way to reflect on the life that you lived. Everybody is going to have a different response to every single one of these questions. But don't get hung up on trying to focus on the exact scenario. So, for example, number 1, it's your birthday. There you go. First question, it's your birthday, even though you have requested that no one makes a big fuss over the special day. Your friends and family purchase gifts for you and surprise you with a nice dinner and birthday cake. You don't have to describe that exact scenario. There could be other days that you went through something like this. For example, something at work, maybe a 1-year anniversary or 2-year anniversary that you were at your job and the other employees made a big fuss about it. Or maybe you were leaving your job and the other employees made a big fuss about it. Maybe you were going to college and ended up getting your degree or graduation. The whole point of this worksheet is to think and try to fit a situation, because situations repeat themselves through our lives, and the more that you can accept that these situations play out over and over and over again makes answering these questions easier. So try to think back at a time, doesn't have to be a birthday, but some time that you told people, look, maybe you got your braces off. Maybe it was prom or something like that along those lines. Try to think of a time like that you felt you didn't want anybody to make a big fuss about it. It's not a big deal. Baptism or commencement or whatever. Not a big deal. You thought it wasn't a big deal. You didn't want anybody to make a fuss of it. But they did make a fuss of it. So the next question, what was the outcome of that scenario? Did you get upset? Did you tell people, oh, I'm so angry at you that you did this to me. I said I didn't want anything, and you stormed off and hid in your room for the rest of the day? Or did you graciously say, oh, man, guys, I told you I didn't want you to do anything for me, but, wow, this really feels wonderful. The next question, what could you have done differently? Well, could you have done better? Could you have said, instead of blowing up on people and saying, I told you guys not to do this, could you have said, hey guys, that was really awesome. Thank you for all of this nice stuff. Now, here's the real tricky part. Did acceptance play any part in the scenario? If so, what did you accept? And would you consider this to be positive or negative acceptance? So, if you knew that it was your birthday, for example, and you didn't want anybody to throw you a party or buy you presents, and they did anyways, did you graciously accept their presents? Did you graciously accept the fact that they cared about you? Did you throw a tissy fit and get upset with everybody because you accepted that they weren't respecting your space and your boundaries? That's the whole point of these questions is, what do we accept as a person? So we're going to leave it there at that very first question here. And encourage you guys to leave comments or go ahead and email me personally. And we'll get on to question number 2 here in a couple of days. So hope to see you guys come back. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, guys.